Hi guys, in today's tutorial I will teach you how you can create a cool shake effect like this in After Effects. It's been a while since I last made a tutorial and it almost feels weird to be making one now, but I'm finally back and I'll start to upload more tutorials from now on. Alright, enough yapping, let's move to After Effects. Alright, so first of all, make sure you have your clips ready and pre-composed. Now we're gonna create a new null layer by pressing Ctrl Alt Shift and Y and make it the same length as our first clip. Now we're going to link our first clip to the null layer. Now go to the part when you want your transition to start and create a keyframe on scale on the null layer. Now go to the end of our null layer and increase the value of scale. For me, I'm gonna put 160. You guys can put the same if you guys want, or you can change it according to your transition. Now easy ease the keyframes, open the graph editor, and you guys can make a similar graph to mine. Alright, so now we're gonna create another new null layer above our second clip and make it the same length as our second clip. Now we're going to link our second clip to the null layer. Now we're gonna add motion tile onto our second clip. You guys can copy my settings for the motion tile. Now select our second null layer and create a keyframe on scale in the starting and decrease the value down to 75. Now go to where you want your transition to stop and there change the value of scale up to 115. Now select both of the scale keyframes, easy ease them, open the graph editor and copy my graph. Alright, so this part is totally optional, but I'm going to create another null layer, link our second null layer to this one and continue the zoom that we created on the second null layer. You guys can copy the steps that I did if you want, or you guys can totally skip this part. Alright, now we're gonna create two new adjustment layers and place one on top of each of the clips. Now we're gonna add an effect called optics compensation and we're gonna enable reverse lens distortion. Then create a keyframe on field of view. Go to the end of our adjustment layer and change the value to 100 and then select both of these keyframes. Press F9 to easy ease them, open the graph editor and copy my graph. Now we're gonna go to our second adjustment layer and we're gonna add this effect called warp. Change the value of bend to 0 and change the warp style to fisheye. Create a keyframe on bend and move it to when you want your transition to end. And now we're going to change the value of bend to -30 on the start of adjustment layer. We're going to easy ease both of the keyframes and edit the graph. Alright, now add optics compensation on the same adjustment layer. Make sure to enable reverse lens distortion and create a keyframe on field of view. The positions of the keyframes should be the same as your warp keyframes. And I'm going to change the value of field of view to 40. And I'm going to do the same graph that I did on warp's keyframes. Alright, now create a new adjustment layer on top of everything and add the effect called S_shake on it. And you guys can copy my settings. Alright, now we're gonna create a keyframe on amplitude on the start of our adjustment layer. Now we're gonna go to the end of our adjustment layer and create another keyframe and the value will be 0 on both of them. Now we're gonna go to the middle of both of our clips and we're gonna change the value of amplitude to 0.7. Select all of these keyframes now, easy ease them and copy my graph. Alright, now just like copy the motion dial from your clip and paste it on your adjustment layer and put it above your shake layer. It will remove those black borders if you guys have those. Now copy both of those effects and create a new adjustment layer. Make it the same length as your clip and paste both of them on the new adjustment layer. Delete all the previous keyframes that you had of amplitude. Go to the start and change the amplitude to 1. Then go to the end of your clip and change it back to 0. Then select these keyframes and easy ease them. Then copy my graph. And also guys, I changed the frequency of the shake on this adjustment layer to 4.7 and also the Z amplitude of the Z shake to 0, so you guys can do that as well. Alright, now create a new adjustment layer and add the effect called exposure on it and then also add BCC lens blur on it. Alright, now first change the value of iris scale to 0, then create a keyframe on exposure, on iris scale and also on gamma and change the value of gamma to 10. Then go to the end of your adjustment layer and create a keyframe on those three again and then go to the middle of both of the clips and change the value of exposure to 1.2, of iris scale to 7 and of gamma to 1000. Then easy ease the keyframes and copy my graph. Alright, now create a new adjustment layer and split it into multiple small pieces the same way I did. Now go over to your first adjustment layer and add this effect called S_edge detect and change it from RGB edges to mono edges, and you guys can adjust the brightness to make the edges appear more or less according to your video. And now I'm gonna add tint on this adjustment layer, and you guys can change the color to whatever you like. For me, I'm gonna keep it red for now. Now add deep glow to your adjustment layer and copy my settings. Alright, for the last one, add motion dial on top of all of your effects, and you're done with the first one framer. Now we'll move on to the second clip, and on this one we're just gonna add invert, and then we're gonna copy all of the effects from the first adjustment layer and paste them onto the third one. As you guys can see, the edges are not the way I want them to be, so I'll just increase the brightness under S_edge detect effect. And on the next adjustment layer, I'll paste these effects again, and this time I'll change the color to a different color and also adjust the brightness a bit. For the last one, search halftone and add BCC halftone on your adjustment layer and copy my settings. Alright, now create a new adjustment layer which is 3 frames long and add this effect called wave warp on it and copy my settings. Alright, now create keyframe on wave height and width and go to the next frame and increase the wave height to 30 and the width to 40. Then go to the next frame and change both of these values back to 0. Then select both of these keyframes and move them 1 frame forward. Alright, now create a new 2 frames adjustment layer above your wave warp layer and add this effect called twitch, then copy my settings. Here I decreased the length of my third adjustment layer because it wasn't looking good, so you guys can do that as well. Alright, for the last step we're gonna create a black solid. The shortcut to create solids is Ctrl+Y, and we're gonna trim its length like this. Then we're gonna add an effect called CC Jaws on it, decrease the height to 0 and change the completion to 100. We're gonna create a keyframe on completion, go to the middle of our clips, change the value down to 75. Then we're gonna go to the end of our solid and change the value back to 100. Then easy is the keyframes, open the graph editor and copy my graph. Now press T to bring up opacity and decrease the opacity of your solid down to 65, and we're done with our shake. As you guys can see, it looks really good. There's one more thing that I'll say before I leave, is that you guys can always mess around with the graphs and also the values and find something that suits your transition better, because it all depends on the duration of your transition. For me, these values and these graphs were looking good for my current duration, so I used those, but you guys are always welcome to play with the settings and find something that you guys can see that looks better on your video. And this is it for today's tutorial. I hope this tutorial helped you guys. If it did, then make sure to drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you all in the next one. Thanks for watching.